So here we go again, back with another one. Welcome back to the Dark Times channel. And before I get started, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button for me. And if you're not new to the channel, you've been enjoying the content so far on this channel, make sure you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me as well. And so as everybody knows, Jaylen Brown has been making headlines, and not just on the court, not just winning championships and being the most valuable player in the finals, but also for some of the moves he's been making off the court.
Hey Jaylen, what do you plan to do with the generational wealth? I mean, what do you plan to do off and on the floor with this new contract?
Well, that's a great question. I want to launch a project to bring Black Wall Street here to Boston.
And so in a world that's been dominated by Nike and Adidas and some of these other larger shoe companies, somebody's finally taken a stand. Jaylen Brown is finally taking a stand. And I know other players have tried it. Stephon Marbury, Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal for a little bit. Some of these other players have tried it to an extent. But I don't think we've ever had a player of this magnitude try it in the prime of his career. And also a player of his stature. And I'm not talking about just on the court, I'm talking about off the court. Somebody that knows how to conduct themselves, somebody who's somewhat charismatic when they want to be, personable, highly intellectual, somebody with a high IQ, somebody that teaches courses at MIT and Harvard on his spare time, somebody that knows a multitude of different languages. And so we're talking about an intellectual here, a savant. And we're talking about a conscious individual as well.
The more I've been embedding myself in water, the more I've seen my body transform. In the last couple of years, I've just seen, I've gotten more athletic, gotten faster, I've gotten bigger and stronger. And I credited a lot to improve my relationship with the water.
The name of his shoe company is 741. And if anybody knows anything about numerology, numbers in general, the number 7 means completion or spiritual awakening. The number 4 stands for hard work. And the number 1 is for new beginnings. And so you put that together, that's a hell of a name for a shoe company. And I know everybody talks about competition and how competition is good. But in the real world, it doesn't work like that. Especially if the competition is coming from somebody that looks like Jaylen Brown, that's a problem. And it usually gets squashed, it gets dealt with. So when these athletes go off the reservation or the plantation, however you want to think about it, when they decide to do that, players like Jaylen Brown, it threatens those monopolies.
That's why Kyrie got into so much smoke, because most of the teams are owned, at least nearly half of the teams are owned by untouchables. That's why Jaylen Brown got snubbed, because about 5 months ago, Jaylen Brown dropped about 34 points in a game, wearing either during the game or just before the game an armband that said "Free Gaza." You understand? And then after that, then when he said he was going to use his new contract money to help build a Black Wall Street?
Well, that's a great question. I want to launch a project to bring Black Wall Street.
And then he sided with Kyrie Irving when Nike dropped Kyrie.
But when it comes to Jaylen Brown, I'm hopefully optimistic. Even though companies like Nike and Adidas and other brands have dominated the sneaker industry for decades, being able to control different athletes, control what kind of deals they make, what kind of deals they get, all the marketing. And they've built a billion-dollar empire off the backs of these players. And not only are they losing out on a potential face like Jaylen Brown representing their company, they run the risk of other athletes following suit. And that's the problem. If somebody like Jaylen Brown were to do $1 billion in business in the first couple of years, you would see a plethora of athletes right after him following suit, doing the same thing. And that's the issue. Because if one player can do it, then they all can do it. That's how they look at it. And so that's why so many people before have failed and tried. And that's not to say that some companies are just not set out to succeed in the first place. Of course that's going to happen. But I could go down the list of all the different companies that have tried, whether we're talking about record companies, distribution companies, shoe companies, entertainment companies in general that have been sabotaged. And y'all know what I'm talking about. A lot of y'all know better than I do. But I think it's going to be different with Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown's got a lot of things going in his favor that a lot of other people that came before him didn't have, which one of them being social media, which equates to having millions of followers at your fingertips. And so when you're ready to market something or when you're ready to drop a new product, everybody's going to see it. All your followers are going to see it, or at least half of them, or a good percentage of them, are going to want to buy something off the rip just because of who it is. And Jaylen Brown, like I said earlier, Jaylen Brown's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that people want to support. Almost like a LeVar Ball. You know, LeVar Ball was kind of beloved because LeVar Ball was somebody who spoke his mind. And so people wanted to support somebody like that, somebody who's unapologetic. And it was a little refreshing. And Jaylen Brown is a little bit of that in his own right. He just goes about it in a much more professional way. And so people want to support Jaylen Brown, including myself. And I'm not a sneakerhead by any means. I could care less about name brands and about shoes in general. I buy them as needed. And I'm not too mad at the shoe design. I'm not mad at all. You know, of all the different directions he could have went, he went the Killmonger route. And so if you know anything, that lets you know a little something right there. But y'all go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know how y'all feel about this one. Let me know if y'all gonna cop the shoes. Let me know if you're not gonna cop the shoes, but put it in the comment section. As usual, peace and chaos.